Alrighty, I told you guys I would take you guys along with me on this adventure of us discerning if God was calling us to Puerto Rico. If you're new here, my name's Ash. Me and my husband, we're taking on a pretty big life change. Spoiler alert, we decided to move to Puerto Rico for ministry. My husband is going to be a lead pastor, and I'm going back to some old footage, bringing you guys along with me for the first 2 times we ever went to Puerto Rico with our little baby coming with us. It was such a big adventure. We were so excited. And I'm going to link down below any videos that we've talked about in the past about Puerto Rico so that you guys can get updated if you haven't seen those yet. But for now, this was our first trip to Puerto Rico. We were still discerning. Honestly, at this point, we had no idea if this is where God was calling us because we had never even been to Puerto Rico before. So we decided to book a flight and go check out Puerto Rico for ourselves. And let me tell you, oh my goodness, Puerto Rico is an absolutely beautiful place to go. Not only is it beautiful, like a beautiful place to go, but the people are beautiful. The people are so kind, are so warm, are so incredible. And we have a lot of Puerto Ricans who watch our videos. So hey, if you're from Puerto Rico, thank you for watching our videos. We're so happy that you're here. But yeah, so this was our first trip to Puerto Rico and first time flying with a baby. I was so nervous. I was so scared. But Theo did absolutely amazing, and yeah, honestly, God answered all my prayers regarding my nerves about the trip. And it just was a very smooth flight. Now, all the flights weren't smooth, but this one went honestly really smooth, which I was glad for the first time. We did end up getting to Puerto Rico really late because we had to go all the way from Muscatine, Iowa to Chicago. So this is a video of our layover in Chicago. And then we had to get onto another flight and go all the way from Chicago to San Juan. And then once we got to San Juan, all the way in Puerto Rico, we had to drive to the northwest part of the island, which is Aguadilla. So that's kind of our travel adventure. But finally, when we made it, thank God the baby did amazing. And we got introduced to this beautiful drive, passing beautiful Puerto Rican flags. And we were like, okay, we made it. We are here. Now, I will tell you this. I definitely had a bit of culture shock when we drove from the Puerto Rico airport all the way to our 2-hour away final destination. And I had culture shock just because, honestly, I did not know what to expect. And it looked different than what I was expecting because Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. So honestly, I just wasn't sure what to expect. So anyways, as we drove in, we got there really late, and we actually had a lot of different dinners and meals throughout this trip with people at the church here in Puerto Rico, with the elders, and with different people who serve in the church, the search committee. And so right away we were introduced to incredible families from this church, and honestly it felt like right away we were getting interviewed. And so that part was a little bit scary, for at least for me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, we're getting interviewed, you know what I mean? Because they're trying to discern if we're the right fit for this church and if this is where God is leading Johnny to be a lead pastor at. And so on this trip, honestly, this first trip, it was a lot of discernment on our end and on the church's end to see, okay, is this the right fit? Is this the door that God is opening? And actually, oh my gosh, you guys, I had the best quiet time in the mornings. It was so peaceful. Theo just would play on the grass, and it was fenced in, so it felt very good, and the water was right there. And man, I just poured my heart out to the Lord in prayer during these morning times. I don't know what I would have done without it, but I did a lot of journaling and prayer time, and it was so good. It was so refreshing, and I was honest with God. I was wrestling with God because at that point I literally had no clue. So anyways, I did not record any of like the interviews or the meetings we had or the dinners and lunches we had because that probably just would have been weird if I would have pulled out my camera. But I did get some of more of the fun things we did. Like we explored some beaches and we, went out to eat and tried some of the local culture and food and met people. And let me tell you, man, like I said, the Puerto Rican people are extremely kind, extremely warm and welcoming, so beautiful. And I really fell in love with the culture and the church that we are going to be a part of. Again, so warm, so welcoming. And really, I think at the end of this trip, what really stirred me and Johnny's hearts to want to come back to Puerto Rico was the people. It was the church, it was the people, it was the warmth, it was the culture that we just fell in love with. So yeah, this was a bakery we tried out. It was delicious. Yeah, we tried just some of the local places that were beautiful and incredible, and the food was so tasty, and then went to some of the beaches and all that stuff. I will tell you this, the trip wasn't rainbows, butterflies, and rainbows, cupcakes, butterflies, because it was very hard. And like I said, it was a discernment trip, and I felt the pressure of, oh my gosh, are we going to move our life here? Because like I said, this Puerto Rico did feel different than home, and I felt culture shock, and I've already felt the feeling of homesickness because I had felt God tugging on our heart that maybe this is where he was leading us. And so I was already feeling homesick. I was already feeling just like, oh my gosh, we might move here. We might move our entire lives here. So it wasn't just, like I said, rainbows, cupcakes, butterflies. It's tropical here. It's different than the Midwest. You guys, I grew up every winter with buttloads of snow. So anyways, that was the first trip. Definitely after this trip, we were excited and discerning, okay, God, what are the next steps? And we were super open to moving forward in this process. Future Ashley here, you guys. I moved to Puerto Rico in less than a week, which is so crazy. Johnny is actually already there right now getting everything ready. I'm so excited. But I wanted to let you guys know that during this whole discernment process, I really meditated on specific verses of the Bible that talked about submitting to God's will and trusting God's plan, because I am telling you, I was a lot of times worried and anxious and fearful. I'm not gonna lie, I did not have perfect faith throughout this journey, and so honestly, clinging to scripture really helped me. And so I put together 30 different Bible verses that talk about following God's will, trusting that God has a plan for your life, being confident in his plan for your life. And we put it into a 30-day guide that goes through just those verses, praying through them, journaling through them, looking up cross-references, everything like that. So I will have that linked down below. And then along with that, we're going to just keep creating a series of these because you guys love them so much. We just made another guide on the topic of anxiety. So specifically looking at scripture to calm our anxieties and to remind us of who God is despite anxiety when it starts to take over. So now we have 2 of those guides available. I'll have them both linked in the description. Thank you so much for supporting our ministry. You guys buying those printables honestly really helps us continue on in coffee and Bible time. So I wanted to say thank you to all your guys' support and love. And yeah, let's get back into the second discernment trip for Puerto Rico. All right, we are beginning our second discernment trip to Puerto Rico, packing again, doing all the things to get prepared for a long flight with a baby. And again, we were traveling all the way from Iowa to Puerto Rico. Honestly, all the flights have blurred together for me. I know that the baby had a blowout, like a big poop explosion that I had to change in the bathroom, a tiny airplane bathroom. Johnny had to change a few poops in the bathroom. He actually changed more than me. But overall, pretty smooth flights, few hiccups here and there, but it was okay. And this trip was mainly about the church discerning if Johnny was the right fit. And so this was the first time that Johnny preached a sermon there, and then he had an interview in front of all the people. And so it really was about the church discerning if he would be the right fit for them. And eventually the church did have to vote him in, whether he would be the next lead pastor or not. And as you guys know, he is the next lead pastor. So on this trip, we were able to do a lot more fun activities around the island, specifically around the main town that we're going to be staying in, because we didn't have to do as many of the interviews and lunches and dinners. So it honestly was really nice to be able to just spend some time here and kind of ask ourselves a very serious question of, can you see yourself living on this island? And so really, as we went back, that's kind of what we were thinking, is like, can this be home for us? Can we move here and really see ourselves moving our family here? Of course, we enjoyed a really nice dinner together as a couple where we were able to just talk about the trip and talk about where we're at together as a couple, and just enjoyed the ocean, and like I said, enjoy the people, the food, the culture. And again, we fell in love with the Puerto Rican culture, and we just were starting to get really excited about the potential of this trip. One thing that stood out to me both trips was when we were going through the coffee drive-through, there was this building, and on it said, "Is this a dream?" And really, on both of the trips to Puerto Rico, this is exactly how I felt. I was asking myself this the entire time: is this a dream? Is this a dream? Because this does not feel real. It really did not feel real. And as we were just, again, discerning the whole process, it felt like a big dream, but it wasn't. It was real life. And at this point, we were feeling a lot of stress and anxiety and pressure about leaving family behind. I think that was our biggest worry, our biggest struggle, was hurting our family's feelings and trying to discern, are we willing to move our family, me, Johnny, and Theo, away from our bigger family, like my mom, my sister, my dad, my brother, Johnny's mom and dad. And it was one of those things where our hearts really felt torn, especially Johnny, because Johnny really felt like he could see himself leading and being a pastor at this church, but at the same time, he knew and we knew, okay, we're going to have to make a huge sacrifice of not only selling our home, selling all our belongings, and moving to an island, but leaving family really, really far behind. And so that was kind of the tension of our hearts on this trip, is just knowing, okay, this feels like a really good fit. Definitely have been praying for months. God has been opening the doors, and the only thing now is, man, we're going to have to leave family behind. And that was brutal. And at this point, we didn't know for sure if this was where God was going to call us. But man, did I have a deep feeling in my heart that this was exactly where we would be. I kind of felt that on the first trip. I felt that on the second trip. And of course, Johnny could just 100% see himself leading this church. That has been one of his biggest dreams, and his biggest life goals is to be a lead pastor. And so I'm so proud of him, and I want to support him and be his biggest cheerleader through this big transition and love on him the best I can. And yeah, so anyways, we just had a lot of fun adventures on this trip. We enjoyed time at the beach. We enjoyed good food, enjoyed good people, and ultimately we were just praying, and asking God for discernment during this trip. Puerto Rico is beautiful. The people are beautiful, and we cannot wait to go and immerse our lives within the culture and follow Jesus and make disciples, and yeah, just honestly be the hands and feet of Jesus in a new place. I truly believe that you can do this anywhere in the world that you are. This is the calling we all have, is to be disciples of Jesus. That's how his kingdom is going to come, is if we are disciples making disciples. And whether God calls you to your neighbor or to the other moms in your circle or to, I don't know who. I know God has someone on your heart though. And so God calls us to be the hands and feet of Jesus and to be disciple makers and to go and to make disciples who will then make disciples, and multiplication happens. And so that is exactly what is on me and Johnny's hearts, is disciples making disciples. And I'm excited to go to a new tropical culture and do this there. And yeah, honestly, ultimately, we made the decision to go to Puerto Rico and follow Jesus there. So that was our discernment journey. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I can't wait to show you the rest of the journey that is to come. All the packing videos, selling the home, the ups and downs of saying goodbye to family, and ultimately leaving the States behind and going to a tropical island. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on the rest of the journey. Please let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts so far? And yeah, I'm going to read all the comments and just say hey. And yeah, I want to connect with you guys down there because I love you and you're my community. So I will see you soon in the next video. Bye guys.